Nervous?
Yeah. It took a while to get to this point, yeah.
Yes, I agree. It has been a while to get to this point. But, so what am I missing? Yeah, that's right. The intro. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Silencing of Stigma. This is going to be episode number 6, believe it or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't believe it's already number 6. Enjoying these podcasts. I've noticed that you guys like the interview ones because you guys don't like us talking, which is bullshit. But no, I'm just kidding. You're going to have to listen to me anyway. I don't care what you guys have to say. Yeah, episode number 6. This one is with my dad, and this is important for us as a family because we don't really talk on this emotional level with each other, and we never spoke about that day. That day, I'm speaking of March 16th, 2014, and that was 6 years ago. 6 years, guys. Think about that. 6 years it took us to get to this point. And if you would have asked me, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 months ago, if I would ever, or maybe even 4 or 5 years ago, if we have ever been doing a podcast, I would have told you you're out of your fucking mind, you're crazy. Because one, I don't like speaking. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but I don't. But it's getting easier for me, and I'm starting to enjoy it more. Again, we don't really talk on an emotional level as a family, and this is going to be an important one for us. And I really do believe that this is going to help my dad out a lot. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. Welcome my dad, aka Joseph Kirshner, to the podcast. What's going on?
Oh, not much. A little nervous.
March 16th of 2014. This was 6 years ago, and we're now just doing this. You guys got to think about that. 6 years to get to this point.
I remember the morning very well. I know it was late morning, and I remember all of us being in the kitchen just talking. And
I wasn't there though. I was getting my hair cut. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I wasn't there.
You were not there in the kitchen. See, some certain things I remember.
So that podcast, they said that you guys were all in the kitchen. It was Tori, Dylan, Mom, and you at this point.
Okay.
And I wasn't there because I was getting my hair cut. So it was like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock when I got back. And there was...
I know it was late. It was right before lunchtime.
So
we were all talking there, and I remember saying, I got to go check on Kyle.
Which was a thing that you did a lot.
Yeah. That morning I just remember saying, hey, what's Kyle up to? Why is he not up yet? I thought he maybe had to go to work. So I just remember being in the kitchen, and I said, I'm going to go check on him, see what's up. So I went downstairs, and I walked to the door of his room, and his dresser was on the far side, and right in front of the dresser he was crouched down on his knees and his hands, and it almost looked like he was looking underneath the dresser. And I'm thinking, why is he looking for something under the dresser? That was my first thought. And then my second thought was, well, maybe he fell asleep or he passed out. So I went over, and I tapped him on the side of his hip, and at that point I sort of knew. I saw his face. It was like black and blue, and he was kind of stiff, and I immediately ran upstairs. And
did you see? I know we forgot about this in our podcast right away. As soon as we saw him, when me and Dylan saw him, did you remember seeing a needle right away or no?
Yes. When I did see him in that position, I do remember seeing a needle. Yes, in his. I'm thinking it was his left hand because he's left-handed. So
yeah, I want to say it was his left hand.
But yeah. So yes, I did, and went upstairs yelling, "Call 911!"
And then that's when I walked in. I don't know if you remember. I walked
I
in the
don't
back.
remember that.
I walked in the back door as soon as you came up the steps, and
Huh.
like I said on the podcast, I initially knew like something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So you came up the steps.
So I ran up the steps and I yelled call 911, and I just remember all of us being in the kitchen, and I went for the phone, and I think I walked outside
Yeah, you walked out
to
back.
the driveway, and I dialed, and I was trying to tell where we were, address and information. And I remember Dylan grabbing the phone from me
It
because
wasn't Dylan, it was me.
okay.
Because I followed you out the back door, and then you dialed 911, and then you attempted to talk, but you couldn't. You couldn't spit
I
a word
couldn't
out.
get any.
It was like mumbles. So like, what did you feel at that time? Like it was just so much going on. You didn't know what to.
Yeah, well, I only remember certain things. Obviously, I thought it was Dylan that took the phone from me. I didn't realize that you weren't there. So certain things I can remember, and other things are just a blur. Like
I can relate
I don't,
to.
I don't, I don't know why that is. I'm not. My memory's not that good anyway. But
So you came outside. You called 911. You couldn't talk. So then I took the phone from you, and at that point I was on the phone, and I don't know if you remember or not, but I didn't know what was going on at that point because I didn't go downstairs, and none of everyone else didn't know what was going on either. They were in the kitchen,
right.
and they were trying to hold mom back apparently
I
because from that point.
I remember holding your mom's shoulders and keeping her there because I didn't want her to go downstairs.
So as soon as I took the phone from you, you went back inside.
I'm pretty sure because I went in back into to make sure mom didn't go downstairs.
So that was your thought at the time was make sure mom doesn't go downstairs to see what you saw.
Yeah,
So you wanted to protect her from seeing that.
right. And she asked me. She said, "Is he gone?" And I said, "I don't know. I mean, I knew, but I couldn't say that right then. I mean, it was just it was weird.
You wanted to make things seem like they were okay
Right.
for her reasons.
So I said I just said I don't know, and I kept her there.
So while you were in the kitchen at this point, I want to run you through like what I was talking about in the earlier podcast when we all were talking about this. I was on the phone and she asked what was going on, and at this point I didn't know what was going on, so I had to go find out. So I went downstairs to find out what was going on, and we Dylan met me down there, and she said on the phone like you gotta try CPR because we didn't know what was going on, and that's when Dylan came over and flipped him over, and at that point we knew like he was gone. But and what's that word you believe in? Like don't touch him or mess with him.
I thought that I don't know if it was the corner that said that I don't know why people mess with them. Meaning that I guess if you know they're gone, just leave them be. I think that's what I took out of that. I'm not quite sure that. Never really asked that question again. Never had a chance to ask that question.
But what I want to clear up is we didn't know at that point he was
Right.
gone. So when we initially pushed him over to flip him on his back to do CPR, as soon as Dylan did that, we knew right away. And then that was the last time we touched him. So
Right.
we saw the needle, we saw his lip, it was all blue, and his face was blue, and his body was literally stiff, like he didn't move at all. So as soon as that happened, I went back around and up the steps. And I remember coming up the steps, and everybody was in the kitchen at this point. And this was when you were trying to settle mom down, saying everything's okay. And I went up, and I remember you holding her back, and I was the same way. I gave her the response of everything's going to be okay when I knew it wasn't going to be okay. I told her, I said everything's fine, everything's going to work out, and I just felt like I needed to like comfort her or make her feel like things were going to be okay when they weren't. So I don't know if that's just like it's just a response that we do as people if we just want to make that feel like that comfort. I don't know, but So at that point, we were all in the kitchen. So what do you remember after that?
Uh, I remember the coroner being there. I remember the investigating officer was there. I knew him. I remember at one point saying, and I don't know if I actually told you guys this, but for some reason I kept saying to the officer, "This isn't going to be on the news or anything like that. I don't want it out there all over the place about this."
So why
I,
why did you feel that way?
I'm not sure.
Was it the fear of judgment from other people?
Maybe that's what it was. It's hard to explain, and I don't. I know I didn't tell you guys this, but I just didn't want it. You know how things happen on the news and everything just plastered all over the place, and people think stuff, and I said that, and he said no. He said you're. It's okay. It won't. Nobody will know or anything like that. So.
So you can't explain how you felt. Like I think it was self-judge. Like you were afraid of judgment from other people as far as how they would see Kyle as a person, and you felt like you had to protect him as far as saying he's not a bad person. Or I mean, like after it happened, how did you react to people's responses? Like, oh my gosh, like what happened to Kyle? Like what was your answer to that kind of thing?
Well, I felt differently afterwards. That moment, I just didn't want it plastered on the news. But after everything, after all that, when I did communicate with people and tell them, what happened and what happened with him and what he was doing, I changed my tune in a way where I had to tell them after I said it and what he passed away from. I always had to say, he was a good kid. He wasn't a bad kid. I had to take up for him. I had to tell everybody that he wasn't what some people think a user is.
The stigma.
Yes, exactly. Back to the stigma. So I always said he was a good kid. He was very respectful to people. I remember telling the person at work I work with, and I said, I said he wasn't a bad kid, and he remembered and he told me. He said, Joe, he said every time I was over at your house or around, he said he seemed very respectful. I said I didn't say anything wrong and didn't think anything. So I always had to do that.
So you remember the coroner being there, the officers being there, and do you remember when that someone came to the house and how mom reacted?
I don't. I
You don't
we
remember
we
that part?
talked about that before. I don't remember much after when the coroner was there and the officers were there, and I remember one of the last things I remember was when the coroner was there. They came to get him, and we were all in like milling around and looking outside, and I said, they're gonna bring him up, and I didn't want anybody to see them putting him in that vehicle or whatever it was and drive away. I wanted everybody to stay away from the window, and that was one thing I do remember. And then after that, I don't remember family coming over.
You don't remember our cousin being there, or
I don't remember that. I don't know why.
I really don't remember too much after that either. I remember our cousin came over and our aunt came over, and then after that, it's a blur. And I want to say I went to the gym that day, which I kind of remember. I don't know if it was the day of or the day after.
I don't remember that either. I do remember later in the day telling Kath that I had to call my boss at work and tell him obviously I'm not going to be in. And I remember taking the phone into the living room and dialing the number, and he answered, and I said hi, and I said I can't believe I'm saying this. I said, but my son passed away last night, and I said I won't be in, and of course his reaction, oh my gosh, and but I do remember that, but not much of anything else.
How did you feel about me and Dylan seeing what we saw? Did you feel like you shouldn't have allowed us to go down there?
Absolutely.
Do you regret that?
I've always had a difficult time with that. I was so worried about Mom seeing that, and I kept her away from it. It was difficult for me, and I'm sure it was very difficult for you. I felt as though I should have protected you guys from that. I'm not saying it would have been any better, but maybe it wouldn't have been as drastic to see something like that. So I always felt that I should have kept you guys upstairs, because I knew coming upstairs what had happened. And for you guys to go down there and do what you did, we just found out this year exactly what you guys did or didn't do that day. And that always bothered me.
Yeah, like I said before, it's crazy that we're now just talking about this 6 years later. But in a way, I'm glad that I went down there. Because, well, first of all, it was the first time I ever witnessed something that drastic. But I'm glad I went down there to see it, and I wouldn't change it. And I don't want you to feel like you should have kept us up there and you regret us going down there because you were worried about Mom. And to be honest, I'd rather Mom not see it than us. So for you to do what you did, I think it was the good thing to do, because I think Mom would have struggled with it a lot more. So I'm actually glad that you kept Mom from going down there. And I had to find out. So it wasn't like I went down there out of curiosity. I had to go down there to tell the people on the other line what was going on. So you shouldn't feel bad about that at all. It was just what we did and how we went about it. So you shouldn't feel bad for that, like for us seeing that. And it kind of makes me the person who I am today. And you just learn to grow from it, really.
Yeah, now that we told our story about that, I do feel better. I mean, I didn't know how far you guys went with that situation, what they told you to do over the phone or anything like that. So
They basically got on the phone and was like, what was going on? And I went down to find out what was going on. And she was like, is he breathing? Is he conscious? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, well, can you flip him over, do CPR? And then I basically flipped him over. And then that was like the answer right there for me. And I told her, I said, he's gone. Like, I just remember saying he's gone. And I was flipping out. And I was like, you need to get here right now. You need to get here right now. And then I came to a point, and I talked about this on our podcast last time. I came to a point where I realized, like, there's no reason to be flipping out, because I know it's done. It is what it is, basically, and I needed to calm myself down and understand what was going on. So I remember like calming down on the phone and saying like thank you for listening and stuff like that to this lady and saying like just get here and we'll figure it out. So I just that's how I felt at that point. That's how the phone call went at least. And now we talked about that on the podcast too. How we it felt forever. Do you feel like it was forever when the ambulance took up? I mean, showed up.
Yeah.
It felt like hours to me. I don't know why, but I don't even know what the real time it was. But we ended up calling back. I think Dylan called back once, and then I called back, and I was like, "Yo, where are you guys at? Like, you guys need to get here. Like, this is crazy."
Yeah. Did they ever ask you? I never asked you this question, but did they ask you if you saw the needle, or did you tell them, or
I didn't say anything. I didn't mention anything about what I.
nothing? No details.
Yeah, nothing. I didn't tell him anything about the needle or anything like that. Basically, I just said like as soon as we flipped him over, I just told him I was like he's gone. And that was it. Like there was no details described.
Maybe that's why they took their time. Then I guess I have no idea.
I would love to know how much time was in between, but I guess we'll never figure out when that was. So you and Kyle, I felt like you guys. Do you want to say anything else about that day?
No, like I said, I don't remember all the stuff. So
How was your reaction afterwards? Like maybe a week or two. Like, how did you go throughout your day? Did you feel sorry for yourself? Were you down, depressed? Did you have any kind of anxiety? Did you feel like you developed anxiety and depression because of this situation?
definitely developed. It was a terrible feeling. I'm assuming depression, anxiety. Mix in the guilt and regrets, maybe. Just thinking of things.
That you wish you could have changed or anything like that?
Yes, that that ate me up. The the guilt and regrets for a long time.
So, what was a typical day for you afterwards?
It was hard to try to focus on the day and what I had to do. The depression was terrible. I felt sick all the time. Didn't really want to do anything. Couldn't concentrate. I never felt that way before.
So that's when you started to feel you were developing some kind of. At that point, did you know it was depression, or you just knew
I guess
something was wrong, something was different?
something was definitely wrong. Yes, I couldn't focus or anything. So I had to do something. And then I ended up going to the doctor and getting antidepressant and anxiety medicine. So I'm on that.
When did you start feeling like things might have been switching over for you as far as understanding the whole situation, how things actually worked out, and how things were like? When did you feel like your depression started to relieve you a little bit?
We went to a medium.
Yeah, and we're. I don't want to talk too much about that because that's gonna be another episode. But
Okay, but that was my changing point.
I knew you were gonna say that.
That was when a lot of weight was lifted off my shoulders.
You felt relieved,
Yes.
which we'll talk about that more.
Right. I won't go into detail, but
So that was your
that helped me tremendously.
because you felt like you reconnected with him and he told you how he felt, and that's
Exactly. Yes.
which I think that was a big thing for you too, and it helped you a lot. And I think like I don't know how you're gonna feel after doing this podcast, but I think this is gonna help you a lot also. Just letting it out there, because we all deal with our low times in life, and depression is a big thing nowadays in this world, and a lot of people deal with it. And I think one of the best things to do is to talk about your depression, your problems, um, and let it out there so you don't have to feel like you have it inside you. And I kind of feel bad because we've been talking about this podcast for a while. Me and you doing this podcast, and I kind of been stringing it along for like a couple weeks now. And you probably been thinking about it every day for the most part. So I kind of feel bad for that, but we're putting it out there now. So yeah, so you felt like your depression started to relieve you a little bit after that situation you had with the medium.
Yes.
Do you feel like you have a better handle over your depression now? Your anxiety? Do you still have episodes?
Uh, Not so much as far as him passing. That I'm coming out of that pretty well, adjusting. I'm adjusting to that pretty well right now.
So you feel comfortable with
Other
that?
other things that came about after that, with the marriage, that has been a struggle. So
Yeah,
that created a whole different set of problems.
and we may or may not talk about that on another episode, but um, so you and Kyle, I felt like you guys never really had a close relationship. Do you agree?
Yes.
And I think that's a lot where the regret comes from because you feel like, which is a big thing in life to me, because you gotta live. Your life's not guaranteed every day, so when you hold regret, it's basically you're going back and you're thinking, how could I have made this better, or what could I have done to do make myself feel better, or make the situation better, or fix the thing before the event happened. So I feel like you regretted a lot of things, and that was part of your depression. I think that was the big thing that came out of this is regret. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yes.
What
Yep.
kind of what kind of things do you regret with your relationship with Kyle? I mean, what kind of relationship did you hold with all of us as in general when you were growing up? Like we were little, do you feel like you were close with us?
Yes. Yes. We did things together, and we did family things. Just, I don't know. It's just certain things that I should have done differently, maybe. Just my patience. I mean, every parent has the some difficult times, and you try to do the best you can. So just being, I should have been closer, I think, doing more things with you guys.
At what point in your life did you feel like you felt like we were close growing up? So what point in your time of life like where you felt the separation? Do you remember at any time?
Not in that respect, no. Maybe as you guys got older and you started having friends and
More freedom and stuff like that?
being out, going out, not being home as much. That could have been a little bit of separation there, but that's just growing older and doing different things as you grow up.
Yeah, because everybody's gonna have different relationships with their kids, obviously. But the other thing that I want to talk about is, and this might be part of the regret thing, is when Kyle passed in the mornings, I would come down for work, and I remember you would say before I left, "Is I love you," and we never done that before this situation ever happened. Do you remember?
Yes.
And like, my opinion was, why are we gonna change? Why are we gonna change the way we live because of what happened, or like why are we gonna change the way we talk to each other? Because to me, you guys know I love you guys, and I shouldn't have to say it. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. But then again, there's the other side of it is you guys like that confirmation sometimes. Like you guys like to hear that. Everybody's different. So I was kind of selfish in a way of saying, hey, like, I'm not going to say I'm going to love you back, which I did say it, but did I mean it at that point? I don't know if I meant it or not, but you guys knew I loved you guys. So for me to just to say it, I'd rather say it and mean it than just say it like a
Well,
daily thing. You know what I'm saying?
I would hope you meant it.
I did, but like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I didn't want it to be the new
Like the,
norm of just saying I love you every day. Like when I
yes.
say those words hold a lot of weight in my opinion. So if I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it and mean it. So you guys should know that I love you guys, and like I said, I was selfish because you guys like the confirmation sometimes of hearing that from your own kids, and I was selfish at that point. So we kind of I don't know if we had that talk about that, and I remember bringing it up to you. I was like, I'm not gonna say it every morning just because of what happened.
Yeah.
But you felt like you had to say it because why?
Back to,
Regret.
yeah. Back
See,
to what I did and didn't do with Kyle. Maybe I felt like I should have said I love you more, or did more things. It's just a lot of things that go through your head. So I tried to carry that on to you guys after that, and try to be better in a way.
so you try to change it so you wouldn't feel the
Yeah.
way you felt with Kyle when he was gone. Like you didn't get that chance to say I love you ever again because he was gone.
Yes.
Which it makes a lot of sense to me, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. Is it's part of the regret as far as what you wish you could have said to him when he was still alive, but now you don't have that chance. But I believe he's with us every day, and I don't know how your thoughts and beliefs on that, but
Oh, absolutely. He's with us. I truly believe. I truly believe that. Yep.
which is which is a good thing to believe in. I think because that's a big relief. Like just knowing that he's still here makes things easier.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
So I know mom talked about that last podcast. I don't know if you listened to it at all or you heard it when we were on vacation.
I did not.
So she has a hard time with this, and she has a harder time than I realized.
Yes.
Do you catch up on that too?
Yes.
So I felt like she has a good handle on it, I felt like, but until I listened to that podcast, like she really struggles with it. She thinks about it all the time. Like I feel like she thinks about it 24/7. But what I don't understand is she talked about that in a podcast saying how she believes, just like we spoke, how she believes that Kyle's with us all the time, but then again she still struggles with the fact that he's not with us. I get confused with that. Do you?
So do I. I hear it. I heard that lots of times.
Now I understand you're gonna miss him, but I mean, she gets crazy signs and shit, and we'll talk about that on the same medium podcast when we do that. But like, that's like those signs and stuff. Like, that's proof that he's with you. And she gets pissed off. I heard it in the podcast also. She gets pissed off because why did he have to do what he did? Why did he have to leave us? But I believe there things happen for a reason in life, and I'm okay with the whole situation now, and I'm a lot better talking about it now. I never would have thought I'd be sitting here on a podcast talking to you, especially about this whole situation, and it's gonna help me out, and I hope it helps you out because that's one of the things I thought about when we first started doing this podcast is, man, I need to get my dad on here. Like this is gonna help him out a lot because like depression. I listened to this thing today, and they says depression is repression. So what you're doing is you're depressing everything down, and to get out of repression is to express your
Yeah.
depression. So this is our way of expressing it is telling our side of the story, And to me, it's helping me out a lot. And I don't think about it as much anymore because I feel like letting it out and talking about it, it's out there. So I don't revisit those bad times. And I didn't want to revisit today, but we had to talk about it in hopes that it would
Yeah.
help you out.
It's
So
not. There's nothing wrong with revisiting this. It's good, like you said. It's good to talk about it, and things are brought up, and it's not a bad thing.
it's just like a big relief off your shoulders
Yes,
once you talk about it. Do you feel a lot better now that you talked about it?
yes. I've been pushing this off for how long now?
Well, that was kind of my fault, but now that you've talked about it and we've talked about it, it makes you feel 10 times better. And we talking about that. Dylan says, if you have something you want to talk about, just let it out. So this is what we're doing. And I really appreciate you coming on here. It means a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad it's done, and I feel like I can do this again. I was a little nervous being in front of the mic here and with the headphones on and all that, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's nerve wracking. And when I do this, I'm like insecure about the way I speak and stuff like that. But as soon as I start talking, it gets better and easier. And that's the other thing is when we talk about this podcast, we're always, as a family, we're always like, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this because these people do this, because that person does it. And we base our podcast off of other people's podcasts. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to come into a podcast trying to relate it or trying to copy or replicate somebody else's outline on how they do their podcast. Like this is raw. This is us. This is who we are, and this is what you're gonna get. This isn't scripted. It's not. It's real, and that's what I like about this podcast. So what you're listening to is what you're gonna get.
So I am glad that I did it, and I do feel better.
Well, that's good. Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on here and doing this. It means a lot. It means a lot to Mom and Dylan also, and I'm glad that we can get you on because, like I said, I really hope this helps you out. It definitely helps me out, and I'm hoping a lot of people give great feedback and people can relate or learn from the father side of it. And regret. I mean, that's a big thing.
I wouldn't mind hearing other stories, other dads that experienced this.
Yeah.
I think that would help all the dads out there.
You really don't. I mean, I don't really hear too much about dads speaking about it. But then again, it all depends on your situation and
Oh, it's out there.
how your family goes through it. But the more we do this podcast, the more I realize there's a lot of people out there that go through this kind of stuff.
Well, for us to wait 6 years for certain parts of the story that were never brought up from that day says a lot. You know, there's people out there that are struggling and didn't get a chance to tell their story or tell their details of what happened to their son or daughter or aunt or uncle or whoever it might have been.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
And we would love to hear stories if anybody has any stories or anybody that knows anybody or anybody that's witnessed or been through it. Like, you guys can reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to us and let us know. But I think we're going to wrap this up. You feel fine with everything you said? You want to say anything else that day? I mean, we'll get you back on again. We're going to definitely talk about the medium thing. That's going to be a really interesting topic.
I'd like to. You had mentioned about Mom being taking this a lot harder. I'd like to follow up on that maybe a little bit sometime.
We can do it now.
Have her in the same room.
So you feel like Mom being in the same room?
Yeah.
We can all get our own.
Yep. Maybe as a family. Well, it doesn't matter. Whoever wants to be involved. Maybe ask some questions and.
I know that would help her out.
Bring that up. That has been an issue for me, so we can do that sometime.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that would help her out. Like I said, I feel like there's days where she has handles on it, and then this past week I just realized that it's tougher than what I thought for her. But thanks you guys for listening, and this is gonna be number 6. Can't believe it's number 6 already. I hope you guys are enjoying these podcasts, and I want to thank everybody who's been reaching out, commenting on anything. Like I said before, if you want to get on, just let us know and comment. I might do a video. If you guys are having trouble with finding our podcast as far as getting updates when we do update it or release a new episode, just comment down below on one of the platforms. It doesn't matter. We're on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube. I got a YouTube channel up for it. You go to my Facebook, my mom's Facebook, Kathy Kirshner, Dylan's Facebook, Dylan Kirshner. Tori likes to share it. That's Dylan's wife. That's Tori Kirshner. But again, if you guys are having trouble finding it, just reach out and let us know, and we'll walk you through it and get you guys hooked up so you guys can subscribe or either like the page and get the notification, because that's important to us that you guys get that, so you're not always trying to find it, because I know in the beginning it was a little difficult to find our podcast, but it's definitely out there, and I'm happy to be doing this, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.